You got to remember this. Men have imagery, right? And imagery to a degree satisfies us.
Understand.
Right? And we're not honest about even some of the imagery of how we look. The difference is that men who are not in the gym, who regular guys who are not in the gym and don't have certain financial things to get that woman have to quote unquote settle for what they believe the woman is on their level, right? So she may not have a look. But when you have money, I don't want to say most, but some of the times women with a certain look, they respond to the dollars. Yeah, they respond to the money, not necessarily the person. And so the reality of it is that some of these guys, and I don't want to name them, but the guys y'all just named, they would rather have the look or the fantasy that they have built in their mind than to have substance with the woman that's on their level.
So it's 2025, y'all, and now men are dating younger. So where does that leave us?
Right. So let's jump right into it because I can't speak for Dawn, but our guest is about 20 years my junior. So,
Woo, I couldn't tell.
Like we should jump into it because we got a lot of comments about the daddy or the son.
Oh my.
And since
he's
Mr. Duane here is young enough, I can't speak for Dawn, but definitely young enough to be my son. Let's get into it, talk about dating younger, or is there a difference between men dating younger women and older women dating younger men? What's your thoughts on that? I'm talking to you, Mr. Duane. I'm talking to
Wow.
Yes.
You know, I don't think there is a difference. I think that everything depends on maturity, right? I do have a limit if we're gonna date older or younger.
What's your limit?
My mom and dad were 8 years apart with my mom leading the way.
Oh, she's older?
Yeah, well, my dad is now deceased,
she was a cougar. Okay.
Oh, did she just call my mama a cougar? No, she didn't. Oh, my Lord. Mama, I love you. Don't pay these people no mind. Yeah, my mom led the way. So I think my mom was 29, my dad was 21.
Oh, wow.
When they got married. 8-year difference there. And I think it all just depends on maturity. Do I think that one person may lack a certain level of experience at times? Yes, but I think that you can also navigate that with conversation and maturity. Does that answer your question?
But that's with a younger.
I think also the flip side too.
Okay, but there's a huge epidemic, I'll call it, with women having an issue that most of the men 40 and over are choosing to date a lot younger. So we're talking 15 years younger, not like 8. 8 is not that bad, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't think 10 is that bad.
Yeah, I don't think 10 is that bad either. But when you're starting to go like 20 years younger, then you similar to like, was Shannon Sharp messing with someone 30 years younger than him or something? So when you're dating and marrying,
40 years
was
younger.
It 40?
It was 40 years younger, yeah.
So when you're dating, that's like, so when you're dating, and now, what's the guy, Bill Belichick is dating like the 20-year-old or something, 20-something-year-old?
50 years younger than him.
So I guess a lot of women have an issue with the fact that men are choosing to date women who are their kids' age.
Right.
So I don't really think that it's creepy per se, but some women do think it's creepy that your daughter is this age and your wife or girlfriend is the same age, you know? You don't see a problem with that?
You know, man, this is a tough conversation.
Not really, because you're 38.
Yeah.
We're a couple of years apart.
No, but I say it's a tough conversation because inwardly within me, I do have a problem with a 30, 20 year difference.
Okay.
I just told you that my max was 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
But you're 38.
Yeah,
would that be true if you were 50?
Yeah, up and down. Because my question is, what type of conversations are you having if you're 55 and she's 25?
I don't think they're in it for the conversations. I think and I'm not a man, so I'm only speaking from what I think. But I think they appreciate this woman who is looking at them in this higher light. Right. And someone there... that piece, looking at me in a higher light is not a problem, right? Because I don't want people to demonize that. I think that any man wants a woman that respects, looks up to him, honors him, treats him like a king. Yeah, I agree.
Right? Yeah. So I don't have a problem with that. I think
it's harder for them to find that in the older woman. Yeah. And that's why they're going a little younger. Not to mention they look different. But I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. I think that the majority of the issue. That's funny. I think that the majority of the issue is not necessarily in what they cannot do with you, but rather maybe the look of this woman. You got to remember this. Men have imagery, right? And imagery, to a degree, satisfies us.
Understand.
Right? And we're not honest about even some of the imagery of how we look. The difference is that men who are not in the gym, who regular guys who are not in the gym and don't have certain financial things to get that woman have to quote unquote settle for what they believe the woman is on their level, right? So she may not have a look. But when you have money, I don't want to say most, but some of the times women with a certain look, they respond to the dollars. Yeah, they respond to the money, not necessarily the person. And so the reality of it is that some of these guys, and I don't want to name them, but the guys y'all just named, they would rather have the look or the fantasy that they have built in their mind than to have substance with the woman that's on their level.
So I think it's a double standard, and I'm just calling bullshit on it because at the end of the day, they are quick to call a woman a gold digger when you say, hey, I don't want to go 50-50 or I have these expectations, right? Yeah. No, they will. They'll call you a gold digger, yet and still will date someone younger who you know don't want you for nothing but your coins and your resources. They don't really want... Come on, why would a 25-year-old really want a 55-year-old?
But I want you to hear me though. the men who are saying that you're dating them not for 50-50 or that you are a gold digger are not the same men who are doing this.
Okay, you're saying they're two different types of men.
They're two different type of men. The everyday man who's putting in the work, trying to build legacy, trying to build family, they're the ones calling women gold diggers who only look at the dollar. The men who have the money don't call y'all gold diggers.
That is true.
Because the reality of it is they have the money. They got the gold. They got the gold to give. They got the gold to give. The men who are like, hey, I'm really trying to build. I'm really trying to do. Like, I like you. We can make this work. They're the ones because they're like, well, wait a minute. You see, I'm getting up, putting in effort every day. Right. I'm not just living on potential. I'm actually putting potential into action. It's like, well, what's up? Well, like, why won't you indulge in this? The men who act, the Hugh Hefners, the Shannon Sharps, all of those guys, Bill Belichick, they're not calling people gold diggers because they got the gold to spare. Right. They got the gold to give. Right? It is the men who feel like I have something to give beyond my goal. But then this is the reverse, because if you look at those men's mind, and I'm not digging on them, but I'm just having a real conversation, you've got to ask yourself something about them. That you only get to do this because you got gold.
And why would you want a woman who only wants you for that?
Because the reality of it is I'm not trying to fulfill purpose.
Right.
I'm trying to fulfill pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I'm
All
trying to
of those
fulfill
men we
pleasure,
name definitely have families. So I think it's something.
they've already had
married,
kids
had
with they've been married at least 1 or 2 times.
Right.
They've already had kids with either one or both of the ex-wives.
Yes.
Right? They've done the family thing. So guess where they probably at? They're probably at the tail of their life where I just want to enjoy my life. Now, am I condoning that? Am I saying that's right? No, I'm just saying that's where they are.
But why can't women be there? That's what I think the question is. We're asking the double standard of women who have worked hard, are in a great financial position, and now they just want to have fun and enjoy life.
I agree.
I've raised my children. I've been married, and now I just want to travel, enjoy life, and laugh and smile all the time. Because let's be honest, being a mom and a wife takes a lot out of you as a woman.
Wow.
100%.
Yes,
they do.
Let's back up. Let's define fun.
Well, it's not. Listen. Well, fun is relative to the person.
Right.
But I'll say, to her point, it's like we are demonized for not wanting a man when you're over 40.
Right.
When you're over 40, it's all, I mean, you can read the comments. Mm-hmm. They're like, you don't have a man. Like, they define your femininity based on whether a man has chosen you or not. And keep in mind, you know, like, both of us have been married.
Don't other ethnicities define it that way?
No, not all the time. I find that, and it really.
I'm going to ask this question again. Do other ethnicities define it by family and if a man chooses you or not?
I think that's an open conversation.
That is. But I mean,
let's pull some statistics and determine that.
Right. Speak on our experience.
We don't date outside of our race, so we can only speak on what we do.
Right.
I can't speak on that. I mean, I've only dated once or twice outside of my race, but not a long time. Because you know what? There's a difference between going on a date and dating.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've gone on dates.
Or sex and dating.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a difference. So I've gone on dates, but dating and in a relationship outside of my race, no. Yeah. So the thing is, I can't really speak on whether they define it that way or not.
But I guess what I'm saying is this. I don't disagree that there is a double standard. However, what I do want to address is, and I don't think that a woman or a man is successful predicated upon if they're married or not.
Right.
I think that the reality of it is that we live in a generation where it was created that family was important.
For sure.
However you created that family, whether that was husband and wife because maybe people could not naturally have children, right? So they would adopt children, right? Or whether that was through you got married and then you had children, right? However you created that, I think that most people look at that as family. There is a double standard, and here's the double standard. The double standard is that most men get a passage of rights to do whatever they want until they're ready to settle, right? But it also depends on what society or environment you're in. Because in the church world, which I reside in, the pressure is there for pastors to get married. Single pastors to get married. In fact, there are organizations and reformations that wouldn't even make a man a pastor until he was married. Right now, some of that has changed.
We already know
but here's my problem. Even if that was the thought, why do we put something on every person? Because every person is not the same way.
For sure.
So what we're saying is that there is no way you have discipline. Now, I'm guilty that there were times I didn't have it, but I can't also put on to everybody else that just because I didn't have discipline, that they don't have it.
Right.
That's unfair.
It is unfair.
That's so unfair, because now you put this pressure on me as a man to say, I gotta love God and then I gotta find a queen, right? Because
what you call them queens?
You put this pressure on me to say, hey, I gotta find and the wife. And so I think the double standard is there, but it's there with good reasoning, right? You don't allow a woman to walk on the outside of the curb closest to the street. You put her on the inside. Mm-hmm. Why? Because if a car jumped the curb, you want it to hit you first before it hits her, so you could push out the way. So I think some double standards just come along with the responsibility of our gender, right? Because y'all not gonna say it's a double standard when he walk on the inside. You're gonna be like, sir, please get on the outside of me.
But I think that's about being polite and having chivalry.
But it's
I don't know if it's...
But it's a standard.
No, it is a standard.
It's a standard.
And I'm gonna say, to his point, when I was away this weekend, there were a group of guys and we were all talking, and one guy said, when he makes a decision on whether to commit a woman, a lot of it has to do with the security that we expect from them.
Yes.
They said, we have this expectation that if I'm out with you and somebody approach you wrong, that I'm going to step in. So are you worth me putting my life on the line for? Are you worth me?
Are you worth it?
Yeah. So that is where they make a decision on, am I going to commit to you because you're worth it, because I know I owe you a certain level of security.
And that's one of the places that we find that you are that for us, right? Because there's other tiers to this that if I'm at work and I say, we're in conversation and now we probably are dating. We're a little bit more consistent. There's intentionality, because we love that word. In 2025, there's intentionality, right? We and consistent. But that's one place. But another tier is, hey, I'm at work and I'm talking to you and I say I'm hungry. You say, all right, I'll talk to you later.
Oh no, we supposed to be sending DoorDash.
But even if you're not sending DoorDash, listen. Even if you're not sending DoorDash, the fact that you are concerned about if I ate into, hey, did you eat today?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Even if you can't send it, you're concerned. And I think there's so many tiers to this. And the reason why I'm saying this is because double standards, in a way, have to exist. It helps us balance each other. Because the minute we lose some double standards, now hear me, I'm not in agreement. I want to say this loud and proud. I am not in agreement with 20, 30 years separation in dating. Mm-hmm. I'm just not in agreement with that. I just feel like there's nothing, me. I feel like there's nothing, I feel like there's nothing more there than just a sexual appetite.
Yes.
That's it. I feel like to have substantial relationship where you can build, I think the most that you can go is 15. Mm-hmm. The max that I'm going is 10.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, I tend to agree. I think there's so many layers to relationships already. Mm-hmm. And there's so many pieces that we have to sift through in order to be in a fruitful relationship. And I think that just adds to it.
Oh, this just hit me. And when we talk about generations, most generations are anywhere from 20 to 15 years. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, if I'm 38 and I go 10 years down, she's still in my generation.
Yeah. Look at that. We're anointing.
She's still in my generation.
Right. Yeah.
If I'm 37 and I go 10 years up, she might be a little bit outside of my generation. Right. But still not far, because I'm at the end of my generation. Yeah. And she may be at the beginning of hers.
And that's a big thing. With the generations, there's there's a little bit of ageism there where people are not even respecting people in other generations, especially younger people, not really respecting older people, because they're so, the contrast is so big.
It is.
They grew up with technology where baby boomers did not.
Traditionalism.
Yeah.
They didn't grow up with technology.
You gotta think the younger kids, they are growing up with so much information at their fingertips. we had to go to the library.
Right.
And you probably didn't.
Right.
They still got libraries, dog.
But we had to go. We couldn't get information that quick.
Right, from
So
Google
our
or
journey-
Safari.
Right, so our
Right.
journey
is different.
It's
Our journey
totally
is
different.
experience over exposure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of things that
Y'all had
I
the
am
newspaper.
telling you, we did have a newspaper.
Yeah, we had to read.
Funny story.
We don't read the
Now all you
newspaper.
gotta do is chat GPT.
Right, right.
We don't have a newspaper. Never,
I mean,
you know.
you could just talk it into your phone and get an answer.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it's totally different. And I think that is an issue with like both generations really understanding
right.
each other. Because, we believe in I've experienced it, therefore I know. And younger generations believe, well, I read it, or ChatGPT told me this, or I saw it on Instagram. So they believe they know based on what they have heard. Where we're like, you don't have no life experience,
Right?
And he and I had a debate one day about life experience. Come on, Duane, listen, about life experience versus age. And I mean, he has a very good point.
Yeah.
He's saying that.
Thank you.
He's saying that even there are some young people who have experienced a lot. And at the contrary, there are older people who haven't really experienced anything.
Right.
So that's where the battle kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Where because you're 50, you think, oh, I know better than you.
Definitely, because I was sharing with you a situation that I had. I was at a crossroad in my life at one point where I was trying to decide whether I was going left or right. And a book came to me, which was Sarah Jake's, her first book with the green cover. And before I even opened it, I'm at this point right around my early 50s. And I'm like, can I really learn something from someone in their 20s?
Wow.
But that book was very transformational for me.
But she's been through a lot.
She has been through a lot. So I'm speaking of her specifically. I mean, having been a mother as a teenager, having that dynamic of having to fit in, the things that were going on with her mentally, and then having to portray this whole other image externally for the church folk, you know what I mean? So that book really helped me make some firm decisions on friendships, relationships, because I was at a crossroad with both of them, with my marriage, with friend relationships, and I needed to clear the way. Well, at this point now I know I needed to clear the way on some of those things, but at that point I really just didn't know where to go. So I do believe there are very few people, and this is just my own, I do think at my age that experience does trump.
Here's my thing. I don't think that experience doesn't trump. What I do think is that it's situational. And I want to give you this. To the point that Don made, it was very good that, listen, if I'm 15 and I got to raise 3 of my siblings in the house with no lights, my mother is strung out on crack, and my father is nowhere to be found, my experience happened earlier than it should. If you are 40 and you never had to experience that, 2-parent household, maybe everything wasn't good, but your parents were there. You never had to really provide for yourself.
Right.
It's very difficult to say just because you're older, you know more.
Right, yeah.
Part of the problem through generations that I believe that we have to respect is we have to respect the knowledge when it's here, and we have to respect the knowledge when it's here, and then we have to respect the knowledge when it's here. Part of the problem sometimes in this bridging the gap between generations is that one generation felt like, I know more because I'm older. I believe that's a false thought. I've worked in professions where, I'll give you one. I was a police officer in Baltimore City for 8 years, and I had guys who worked around me for a number of years, and they couldn't tell you how to write a report of something serious to save their lives because they spent 15 years humping out. They spent 15 years hiding in uniform, but not being active in their duty. And so part of the issue is not everybody is active in duty. Some people are just hiding in place. And when you're hiding in place, it leaves you limitless from experience.
That is true, though.
Because you don't get a chance to experience you're just walking through the motions.
Exactly, yeah.
And so part of our issue is that when bridging the gap in generations, we've got to give respect to, okay, y'all do know about that. But then this generation also has to say, I don't know about that. And this generation has to say, you know what? I don't know this, but what I do know is this. And I think part of the issue is every generation is trying to prove that they know more than the next generation. And the truth is, it's not about you knowing more, right? It's about you understanding and respecting each other. Now, I will give you this. The Bible does say that every generation gets smarter and smarter. Now, intellect is not wisdom.
Ooh, you better preach. You better preach.
Yeah.
Say it again.
With an offering.
Intellect is not wisdom.
Right.
Intellect is not wisdom. Now, while each generation gets smarter and smarter, that does not mean they get wiser and wiser.
Right.
Because intellect is not wisdom. Intellect gives you the ability to know, but it doesn't give you the ability to perform.
Yeah.
Wisdom gives you the ability to perform.
Yeah.
Because what happens is wisdom gives me, not right now. I can't address that like that right now. I may have it, but I can't address it like that right now. So when we talk about bridging the gap, I think what most of the older generations want us to understand is, I may not have experienced as much as you, but I do have some wisdom that I can help you use with your intellect to navigate life.
You said it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm gonna be honest, I struggle. I'm a millennial. I struggle with this generation Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. This generation Z that's behind me.
Yeah, that's a generation.
I struggle. Y'all don't judge my eating habits, but sometimes I pull up at the McDonald's.
That's not good.
Yeah, I just told you don't judge me. You did it anyway. See what I'm saying? The
I'm
alpha.
not judging.
You see the alpha?
I'm not an alpha female.
I just wanted to slide that in there. You see that? See that? I said don't, and you did it anyway. Alpha. You know?
My bad.
But sometimes I pull up at the McDonald's, and most of the people at McDonald's are either other ethnicities or Black generational Zs. And when I tell you in Target, other places, now I haven't been to Target. I want to just shout out Dr. Jamal Bryant, right, from the past. All right? But these stores that I go into, most of the Z's where they've missed it is customer service. Because they have none. Because we've taught them how to show up, but we haven't taught them how to be
present. How to be present.
And part of that is because it started at home. It didn't start in the church. It didn't start at the school. It started at home because they get to eat dinner in their room on their phone. They don't sit at the table, or they don't come downstairs and at least sit amongst the family for a minute and just check in and see.
So important.
Everything is quick.
It is, and I have that experience with my children to a certain degree because I don't play about that eating all over the house. But
I don't mind eating over the house, but I'm just saying, you know.
But literally on Sundays, we sit down at the table, breakfast and dinner. It does get tricky throughout the week with all of the different schedules and activities, but we take a moment always on Sunday and make sure we eat breakfast as a family and dinner as a family. We all, no matter where you are, what you're doing, we have to come together at that table for that. And it is so important, and no phones at the table as well, because they have to be present. It is very difficult having conversations with millennials and Gen X. No, we're X, Z, Gen Z.
No, it's still hard having conversations with y'all too.
It's different. We're present for it.
It's hard having conversations. It's hard having conversations with y'all too.
We're very present for it.
But you're right about the phones, right? You know, I was married, and I'm divorced now. But one of the things that I had to learn inside of that relationship was my phone, right? Because I'm a millennial, and she was a millennial, and I would come to dates with her on my phone. And you know what I started doing? I started changing it up, right? I started leaving my phone somewhere that I couldn't get to it. or turning it over and putting it in my back pocket, because at the end of the day, I think in order to be present, you have to have less distraction.
That's true.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you imposing that rule in your household is an ode to your generation.
It's definitely.
If your children were being raised by someone younger, that would not be a case. So that's why there's so many issues with, what is it, Generation Z? X, whatever.
But hold on, go back.
Because it's the way they're being raised.
But go back. She implemented it in her house. But let's say she has a daughter, right? And your daughter has a child, but she doesn't implement that in her house.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's necessarily about all the time. Well, it is about being raised right, yes. But I wanna go to the root that many of us were raised right. Yeah. We're just not implementing it into our homes now. That's where the problem is. That's where the breakdown is. Because my mama instituted it in the house, but if I don't institute it in my house because I felt like
it was too much.
It was mundane. It's old school.
It is, right.
This is where the breakdown is, right? You guys took what your generation gave you, and y'all deleted some of it too. But the things that you felt like were positive and moved the family and moved different things in the right direction, you kept it. This generation was like, nah, I'm gonna just create my own thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, we didn't have to leave some of the blueprint. We could have kept it and threw away the things that didn't work.
But the interesting thing is, we have to wonder how we get like the younger generation to understand that some of those things should be kept. Like, even they don't show up to interviews, they don't show up for work, they show up to interviews in bonnets. Okay. If you you can even have like a Zoom interview and they got the camera shuffling all around. I mean, they have no like sense of
being completely present in that moment.
Oh, respect. Yeah. I mean, they show up to work late. There is no customer service. So, I mean, even just talking about from the business side of it, that's a struggle that most business owners had. And that's why so many businesses, especially in the Black community, they struggle with customer service. And, they'll always say, why don't we get a Houston's out here? Well, Houston's ain't got time to be dealing with, the complaints and the customer service issues. And of course, people not supporting it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there has to be some way. I don't know how to reach that generation. I don't know, but I know that you work with youth a lot.
I have a couple strategies. I was just talking on the phone to you earlier, and I said I'm literally a teacher, right? Not by certification
or title,
but I can teach.
But what you do,
right? And here's the thing: the reason why I won't teach in public school or even remotely be interested in it is because it teaches a curriculum that's ba 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 ba.
Right.
And I don't believe that life is ba 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 ba.
Not anymore.
Now, I love Montessori schools, but some of them can be a little lax for a child, right? To where the child isn't really growing in the academy side that they need. So how do we fix it? I think we fix it by finding the balance of both the curriculum and the Montessori, where curriculum and life skills are being taught. And I think that public schools around the world need to start looking at how do we mix the academic with the life skills, right? We've mixed the academic with the trade. Now we need to mix the academic with the life skill. Because it's okay if they get the academics, the geometry, the science, math, the science, the social studies, the English, right? It's okay if they get the trade, the auto mechanics, the plumbing. That's great because we set them up. But what are we setting them up if they don't even know how to talk to their client?
Right.
Because they're gonna come out and start a business, but don't know how to deal with the client. We need to figure out how do we put academics, life skills, and trade into a place for children to learn, right?
And I do think that's a bigger conversation in terms of education and where education needs to go moving forward.
Yes.
Because the educational system, which was developed back in the 1920s, is to me a bit outdated.
Yeah.
Like the amount of information that kids learn from K through 12 can actually be learned probably in about 6 or 7 years now. Like what they're learning, we have the ability to learn and consume that information a lot faster now. But then it begs the big question, who is really responsible for teaching our youth? And I believe it's the parents. So now in lower income neighborhoods, you know, you worry about those children because their parents are not always present all the time. But I feel like it is your responsibility as a parent to ensure that your children are learning as much as they can, not the school system. But I do understand that in some lower income neighborhoods, they have to depend on the school system to do it.
No, but I'm in agreement with you. It does start at home. Like I tell people all the time, my mother wasn't the big academic person, right? She did what she could, but I'm gonna tell you one thing she did do. We didn't move to go do a whole bunch of stuff without either reading the Bible, reading a couple pages out of a book, or writing something. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you. When we got in trouble, to elude some of the punishments that she would give us, sometimes it was a writing assignment. Sometimes it was writing a verse 50 times. We keep taking devices, and that's good, and that's a form of punishment. But I think a form of punishment is helping them learn.
Yeah.
Right? If we're gonna correct, and I don't want to call it punishment, if we're gonna correct our children, I think correction comes with learning. Yeah. So if they talking too much in class because they just don't know time and place, let's have them write the scripture. There's a time and a place for everything done underneath the sun, 50 times. Because I guarantee you, when they get up from that chair after writing that thing, they gonna go, I ain't talking no more in this class.
Going back to our generation, the way we
because you got to understand. And I just said this 5 minutes ago. I don't believe in taking everything out and writing a new blueprint. I believe in taking some things out and writing a new format. Right? We've tried to take everything out and write new blueprints. Well, you know what? Well, this doesn't work, so we're gonna write a whole. And it's like, no, stop. This works. This works. This doesn't work. Let's put a new format in here. All right, this worked. Let's put a new format in here. And I think it's evident because look at the world. They can now build a structure without having to do the things that they did before. It's a new format.
Because everything is different now.
It's a new format. So
we're using outdated,
So keep some of the stuff, but at the same time, be okay with making changes somewhere else. It's how I live my life. I coach football, right? And I coach 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds. And let me tell you something. One of the greatest things I could ever do is coach these babies. But one of my biggest headaches are the parents.
Oh, really? I wasn't expecting
because everybody thinks
their kid is special.
That their baby is the next Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, prime time. Let me go more modern. Okay, Cam Newton.
Right.
They think their baby is LeBron James. They think their baby is so many people. And it's like, wait a second. If he was, or she was, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and you could see their skills a little bit more, okay, they babies. They being developed.
Yeah.
What happened to the developmental curve? That they didn't have to come out and dunk the ball at 6.
Right.
They 6. Let them take their little muscles and just push the ball, even if they don't make it.
At that point, it needs to be about learning discipline and all of the other things. It should have to be nothing to actually do with the sport at that. At that point.
I mean, that's a big core.
Yeah, because it should be really more about learning some life skills and discipline. One thing I would say.
I'll say it again and look at that camera. Look at that camera when you say it.
Sport and organization is so important in dealing with everyday life. And I guess I'm a little bit equipped. My husband was or is a college football coach, so I've been around the game, and he played professionally for a period of time as well. So I've been around the game a lot, and the level of discipline that goes into having to get up at a certain time, having to report at a certain time,
studying, actually,
doing all of the things that has nothing
all of that
to actually do with
football.
And even if you really focus on the LeBrons and know that and look at their routine.
Yes.
They're not just showing up and playing. They have like a serious routine behind the scenes, but people only want to look at what they see on the court or on the field, not the preparation that it takes to get there.
Yo, I got a motto, and I know we got to get out of here, but I got a motto. The motto is, it is about the mission, not the man. And while I may stand as the head coach, and shout out to all of my great coaches and team moms, but while I may have some other coaches that assist, it's not about us. It's about the mission.
Yeah.
And part of our problem in our community sometimes is we focus on, let's take the word man out. We focus on what doesn't matter, right? You sending them to prom with Gucci and Fendi on. But have you talked to them about having safe sex?
Right.
Because there's a possibility that they're curious about what that is because they're older. Okay, let's go lower. You talking about, my child didn't score a touchdown. But have you talked to him about understanding how not to hit the children in his class?
Right. Yeah.
So we worry about the wrong things.
Yeah.
And when you try to implement this back into this now society, you get fought because everybody is using the word impact, right? And it's not impact, it's cover up.
Yeah.
Just because I throw a block party, I'm throwing a block party, okay, to try and cause impact, but what is real impact if you come to the block party but you still leave and you're doing the same behaviors?
Right. Yeah.
So what role does the church play in all that?
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's a long. I'll give you a short version.
Yeah.
I believe that every church needs to find a youth pastor, whether it be male or woman, that impacts children's lives. And I'm not just talking about from a spiritual place where they can come in and teach them Bible study and pray for them. That's great. We want that too, right? I'm talking about they have a way with children and young people and young adults like none other. I'll be honest with you. I've applied for youth pastor jobs and I've got turned down because of my formal education, the lack thereof of my formal education. And I say this not boastfully, but proudly, but let me do what I do against the person with the doctorate degree, I guarantee you they wouldn't weigh up to me because I've been called to this.
Yeah.
Education couldn't teach me this.
Yeah.
God anointed me for this. And the problem with so many of us is we will hire people with clean hands because they don't shake trees. But I'd rather hire people who shake trees because they're going to get results.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
We want people who just know how to play in the system,
Yeah.
but they ain't getting no results. And so part of my knack and so part of my issue with this society, and you talk about how does the church play a role, we got to start hiring people that can cause impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not just fit in your system to make you look good as the lead shepherd, but that can really, that if you didn't show up, the numbers still go up.
Right.
And I'm not just talking about numbers in growth of people. I'm talking about their heart. They want to be a part. They want to come. Man, when I was serving as a youth pastor at a church in my city in Baltimore, Maryland, we had children that were coming from other places off the strength of what we was offering them.
Right.
And we wasn't offering money. We wasn't offering Nikes or Jordans. Yeah, there was some times we could give that stuff away. But what we was offering was a soul search and an impact that went beyond. So they galvanized into it, right? You have churches who believe, well, I need this person to have this formal education so that they can be able to deal with the psychology of the kid. And it's like, but they're gonna be able to deal with the psychology of the kid, but they're gonna be boring.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So,
I mean, you mentioned Jamal Bryant, and when you're going.
Talking about the target, yeah. Shout out to him.
But not only that, I know he always got a lot of flack about his lifestyle from the past.
Yeah.
And I always saw that as a positive thing. There are so many of us who falter and fall by the wayside, and to see that he could turn it around and move forward. I think that speaks volumes to me, instead of trying to stay on the straight and narrow your entire life. Right, yeah, same thing. So it speaks volumes to me to know that you can overcome your challenges.
For sure.
I don't know. I mean, obviously he's super anointed and an amazing.
And he's an amazing storyteller.
He is. I mean, he definitely does have.
Yeah. Let me
the
tell
way
you
he
something.
breaks down scripture is like no other.
Let me tell you something. Part of our problem in society is we don't respect the paths that people take.
Yes.
Right? I'm not mad at the person who's perfect. Just don't be mad at me for my imperfections.
Yes. Because they make you great.
Because they made me better. Maybe I had to learn the hard way. I shouldn't want to.
Yes, that may be.
But maybe I did.
Yeah.
But don't kill me because you kept it a certain way.
Yeah.
In fact, if you really are skilled, help me to learn your way.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is we demonize people because we like hierarchy in this world, right? And I'm better than you because I never did that.
Right.
I'm better than you.
Yeah.
But you're not better than me. You just don't even know what type of pressure I was under, where my mindset was, where my heart was. Maybe I did make a bad decision, but I made it out of a good heart. Can I say that again? Because they don't want to hear that. Maybe I made a bad decision out of a good intention.
Yes.
I handled it the wrong way. And what happens to too many people is they deem that every bad decision you made from an ugly place. And that's far from the truth.
Right.
Because I'm talking about myself. I made a bad decision in 2015, right? I worked in uniform and I had a kid who was acting up in the household. Now, mind you, I was working with children before I was a cop, when I was a cop, after I was a cop. And I had a situation where, he was beating up on his parents. We took him to the hospital, not to jail, to the hospital to just get the emergency evaluation because we thought that it would be easy for him. And he got there, he was talking reckless out of his mouth and, I jacked him up a little bit, right? Well, we got the people that was like, they took a knife and they cut me in the dagger, right? Plastered me on the knees, came at my neck, right? And I said, can I tell y'all something? I said, I didn't make that decision out of a ill intent. I made it out of a good intent. I was trying to set them right and tell them, it's not cool for you to disrespect your mother. I was protecting the Black queen. I did it the wrong way.
Yes.
And too many people will judge what you do and not know why you did it.
Right.
Because the reality of it is they don't care. What they care about in this culture is I'd rather counsel you, CANCEL, I'd rather counsel culture you than to let you be restored back to being new.
Yeah.
And I feel like the best people to learn from are the people who have gone through and can say, I've been there, done that. This is the way I got out of it and got through it. Versus someone who is perfect, who's never gone through it. They can't really tell you how
back to that experience word.
That's the experience. They can't tell. Like,
I'm gonna find y'all, not you. I'm gonna find her an experience.
No, because I'm just saying, like, you gotta think, if someone has always had an 800 credit score,
right?
They can't tell you how to get from a 450 credit score to an 800 credit score.
Don.
I'm just saying, so
can't tell you.
They can't, because they've always had things perfect, so they don't even understand.
You always had caviar. You can't tell me how to eat peanut butter and jelly. By the way, I love me some peanut butter and jelly.
But I mean, I'm just curious. I know you're a youth advocate, pastor, mentor, coach. We didn't give your name, but this is Duane Williams Jr.
The one and only.
The one and only.
Well, maybe not if you're a junior.
No, daddy's gone, so this is the one and only now. Right. I got it.
But what can the business community do to help with some of the issues that the youth are facing?
That's a great question. Don, that is a great question. Earlier today, I was at a Wendy's. Again, don't judge me.
You liking this class?
Okay, don't judge me. I was at I just wanted a little sausage. So I was at a Wendy's, and I go in, and I go to in the bathroom to, use it, wash my hands, I come out. The manager who was dressed down was like, are you she said, did you wash your hands? Right? It was funny. I laughed. I said, you better be worried about these employees washing their hands. And so she laughed and I laughed, and she's like, we get to talking, and she has like this mother vibe to her. And I could tell, it was like, boom, instant connection. She said, well, what do you do? And I told her, I said, you know what? I said, you give back to the community? She said, yeah, we can work it out. I said, come with me to the car. And I go to my car and I grab our football flyer out and I give her 2. And I said, we may need you. I don't know how, maybe it's fundraising. Maybe one day you just want to let the kids come up here and get a burger on y'all. However, she said, that's not a problem. Let's work it out. I think businesses who are not in startup, businesses who are flourishing have to find a way to give back. If the church has to find a way to give back, because I'm fair, right? We can't just beat the church up. Business owners too. A lot of business owners are grossing a lot of money. And if you can't find one team, football team, around your area to say, you know what, this year for the entire season, I'm gonna donate waters. It's on us. I'm gonna donate ice. It's on us.
Yeah, it's something.
If you can't find one team near your business or one after school program near your, how long after? It's 6 months? No problem. For 6 months, you can count on me to give you something. Here's what we're gonna give you. If it's just snacks. How many kids you got? We'll give you snacks for a certain amount and you distribute.
I think that's good.
We business owners have to stop being secluded to get the money to come up, but never give back. And I'm gonna call them out because that's the only way I know how to be. My friends call me a pot stirrer. Yeah. All right, I take it, AKA the pot stirrer.
Okay.
I take the name because I believe pot stirrers are people who help people to see reality and push them into purpose. And so I'm gonna say this, if you are a Black business and you don't give back to your Black community, and the only thing you keep saying is, I don't have the resources, then give back your Mercedes-Benz.
Okay, stirring the pot.
Right.
Give back that Porsche that you just brought because you grow some money in your business. Give it back. Let's get a little Honda and let's get back to our community. Because how dare you use us to come up, but you don't bring us up.
So you think every local business should find a way to contribute something to some type of program in their local community?
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you gave those examples because it does help people.
Yes.
Saying that these are small things that can be done because some people.
Did I name anything big, John?
No, and some people do feel like I don't really know how to give back. But that's a good example because it could be something just as small as like, oh, I can help with the uniforms, or because a lot of kids can't afford to get the uniforms. They want to play football, but they don't. They can't afford, Now,
and let me be fair. We got teams standing on corners collecting money.
That is true.
Now, 2 issues here, because is it a mismanagement of funds by that organization, right? Because I don't want you to be a rescuer all the time as a business owner, right? Or is it just they don't have enough? Because when I see them standing on the corners, I'm asking questions. I'm like, okay, where are we? Is it that you don't have enough? Or is it that you just mismanaging funds? Right? And I can assure you, most of them are not mismanaging. There's some.
It's not enough.
It's just not enough.
I mean, things are so
because even my organization, shout out to the Eastside Raiders, our football organization, right? We give each team, we have ages 5 to 13. So is that 9 teams? We give each team a hardship. So if a coach comes I'm on the board as well, he comes to the board, I'm the community director, he comes to the board.
Okay with the multiple titles.
Yeah. He comes to the board and he says, I got a child that needs this scholarship because their parent can't afford it. We look at the situation, and if it's deemed right, we give it. What we don't want is parents that can afford it to take advantage. But even us, we give hardship to each coach that possibly need it because we want the kids to be involved.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. This has been so amazing.
So amazing. I can't wait to come back for part 2. Because we got to dig into some of Dawn's other stuff.
Who, me?
You all right. We got to get into it.
Why do I get the blame for everything?
I just want y'all to know, Dawn is an alpha woman.
I am not.
And she's trying to declare that she's not. And she is. But I pray that there is a meek, mild, but firm, because it doesn't mean you're a punk, okay? But there is a meek, mild, but firm man out there somewhere.
Not the advertiser.
Not an advertiser. Stop it.
What the song say? She may be young, but she's ready.
Oh my God.
Meek, mild, and firm. Keep those words, fellas. Meek, mild, and firm.
Why? Not an ad for a man.
If you like me, you ain't gonna cut the mustard because it's gonna be rah, 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 rah. But meek, mild, and firm.
This is too funny. I
Slide in the DMs.
Come on, close this out, dog. You don't even know where to go with
Not
this.
sliding in the DMs.
Right.
It's the 21st century.
You are funny.
Everybody's dating differently.
That does not fit our generation. It's like,
No, they all slide in the DMs.
You better, that generation gonna have to come up because it's dating apps and sliding in the DMs out
The
here.
DMs is the main way to meet
day.
people. Like,
I feel like you meet people at a supermarket, it just don't work. You be like, hey, how you doing?
I meet them at the supermarket all the time, but I find that I meet other races more
At the supermarket.
Yeah, like
they probably think you like Spanish
Probably where you
they
shop.
do not think I'm
or
Spanish
Dominican or something.
I think I'm Dominican.
Ethiopian.
You're funny.
No, do they think you?
No, but like a Caucasian man always approach me in the grocery store,
Mm.
like on a regular basis.
Like Caucasian, like
White, like Chad. Like we're going to the Hamptons.
like
this
mocha,
summer.
like
That's
mocha,
right.
couple shots
No,
of
no,
espresso
Not
latte.
that type.
Oh,
like
not
Paul
that.
Wall.
Okay, okay,
Not Paul Wall.
got you.
More like Chad.
Yeah, yeah.
Blonde hair,
10-4.
blue eyes.
10-4.
Yeah.
It's your show. I'm shutting up.
Okay.
Yeah. But this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Again,
Thank y'all.
this is Duane Williams Jr. He is an author, mentor, coach.
Not an author yet.
Oh, well, look at me speaking things into existence.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Look at me speaking
It's coming.
into existence.
I'm working on it. I'm writing it out as we speak.
And a pastor. And thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
y'all. I appreciate y'all.
He has enlightened us today.
Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all.
So we will see you on the next episode of the Icon Theory Podcast. Bye.